What's up, everybody? Weston here with the Hidden Gibbon, back with another Daily Deck Tech video, and today we have another viewer request. And we actually had a viewer request for Edgar Markov not that long ago, but this one's special. I don't know if you can look down here at this budget, but we have $59.53. Yes, you heard that right. Under $60. And I got this request from somebody who wanted a Edgar Markov deck, but, you know, a little bit of economic constraints behind it. So they needed it to be total under 60, including the price of Edgar Markov. So for this deck tech, I have used this function right here, which is update to cheapest. So these are all the cheapest versions of these cards. Feel free to use this to find, but I'm going to be honest with you, this one was a tough one for me. It's hard to really get a higher power, but, you know, we sacrifice some power for some budget. So let's get straight into it. So Edgar Markov, although many might not need an introduction to him, there are some out there who are newer to the game. He's a 4/4 for 3 generic, a red, a white, and a black. And he has Eminence, which means whenever you cast another vampire spell, if Edgar Markov is in the command zone or on the battlefield, create a 1/1 black vampire creature token. Yes, you heard that right. He does not have to be in play. He can be in the command zone. Then he has First Strike and Haste, and then when Edgar Markov attacks, put a 1/1 counter on each vampire you control. For creatures, today we have 22. We're obviously going to be playing a lot of vampires. A lot of these are very, very cheap. Like I said, had to fit it in a $60 budget. So first we have Bartolome del Presidio, who is a 2/1 for Orsov mana. Sacrifice another creature or artifact, put a 1/1 counter on him. So you play him, you're going to get a little token, and then you can sacrifice that token to make him bigger. And when you play these other vampires, you're going to get to do the same. We have Bloodline Necromancer, which is lifelink. He's a 3/2 for 5, and whenever Bloodline Necromancer enters the battlefield, you may return target vampire or wizard creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So nice little reanimator effect. We have Dusk Legion Zealot, which is when he enters the battlefield, draw a card and lose a life. We have Falkenrath Noble, which is flying, and whenever Falkenrath Noble or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. We do have quite a few tokens in this deck, and we do have sack outlets for this, so it's easy to ping people. We have Indulgent Aristocrat, lifelink, and you can sacrifice another creature for 2 mana to put a 1/1 counter on each vampire you control. We have Kirol, Attentive First Year, 3/3 for 3, and they have tap 2 untapped creatures you control. Copy target triggered ability you control. You may choose new targets with a copy and activate only once each turn. So if you have them in play and at least one other creature, you play a vampire, it triggers the Edgar Markov, and you can copy it, and you can get 2 tokens. Legion Lieutenant is a Vampire Lord. All other vampires you control get +1/+1. Marauding Blight Priest. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. See how we have a little bit of synergy in here. We have Markov Baron, which has Convoke, so you can tap your little tokens to play it for cheaper. Lifelink. Other vampires get +1/+1, and if somebody makes you discard it, you can pay it for 3. We have Markov Waltzer, which is flying and haste, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, up to 2 target creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. We have Mavrin Fane, Dusk Apostle. He's a 2/2 for 3, and whenever 1 or more non-token vampires you control attack, create a 1/1 vampire creature token with lifelink. We have Restless Bloodseeker, which is at the beginning of your end step. If you gained a life this turn, create a blood token. If you can sacrifice 2 blood tokens, which we don't have too many ways to make blood tokens in here, but we do have a few. Transform him, and do it only as a sorcerer. When you transform him, at the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, you create a blood token, and then you can pay 5 to have each opponent lose 2, and you gain 2. We have Ruthless Lawbringer, which is when Ruthless Lawbringer enters the battlefield. You may sacrifice another creature. When you do, destroy target non-land permanent. We have Sanguine Siphoner, which is whenever this creature attacks, each opponent loses 1 and you gain 1. We have Stromkirk Blood Thief, and at the beginning of your end step, if an opponent lost life this turn, put a 1/1 counter on target vampire you control. Tithe Drinker, which has some pretty cool art there with the little gargoyles. Those gargoyles, for the record, kind of look like there's an angel from one of the Phyrexian sets that kind of looks like those. But it has lifelink and extort. And extort is when you play a spell, you can pay a white or a black to have an opponent lose, or to have each opponent lose a life. And then you gain a life for each life they lost. Sorry, friends, I was up late. We have Vampire Gourmand, which is whenever this creature attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, draw a card, and this creature can't be blocked this turn. Vampire Nighthawk, Flying Death Touch Lifelink. Vampire Socialite, which is Menace. And whenever Vampire Socialite enters the battlefield, if an opponent lost life this turn, put a 1/1 counter on each other vampire you control. And as long as an opponent lost life this turn, each other vampire you control enters the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it. We have Vengeful Blood Witch, a Vampire Warlock, and whenever this creature or another creature you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. We have Voldaren Ambusher. Whenever this creature, when this creature enters, if an opponent lost life this turn, it deals X damage to up to 1 target creature or planeswalker, where X is the number of vampires you control. And then we have Yahenni Undying Partisan, haste, and whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a 1/1 counter on Yahenni, and then sacrifice another creature. Yahenni gains indestructible until end of turn. For sorceries, we have Ambitious Cost. You draw 3 cards and lose 3 life. Pretty simple. Call to Feast, create 3 1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink. Eaten Alive, you can sack a creature or pay an extra 4, exile a creature or planeswalker. Edgar's Awakening, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And then when you discard this card, you may pay 1 black. And when you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. We have a Feast of Blood. Cast a spell only if you control 2 or more vampires, which is pretty simple. Destroy a creature, gain 4. Macabre Waltz, which is return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand, discard a card. Markov Retribution, choose 1 or both creatures you control, get +1/+0 until end of turn. Target vampire you control deals damage equal to its power to another target creature. Pointed Discussion, you draw 2 cards, you lose 2 life, create a blood token. We have Read the Bones, scry 2, draw 2, you lose 2. We have Stensia Banquet, which is it deals damage to target opponent equal to the number of vampires you control, and you draw a card. We have Abrade, which is it deals 3 damage to target creature, destroy target artifact. We have Bleed Dry, -13/-13 until end of turn. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead. Crackling Doom. Crackling Doom deals 2 damage to each opponent. Each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power amongst creatures that player controls. D-Spark, for some removal. Mortify, Hero's Downfall, Murder, Utter End, Tragic Slip. These are all really good removal spells that are a little bit cheaper. Urge to Feed. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. You may tap any number of untapped vampires you control. If you do, put a 1/1 counter on each of those vampires. Return to Dust gets rid of good old artifacts and or enchantments. We have Vampire's Vengeance, which is it deals 2 damage to each non-vampire creature, and you create a blood token. And Valorous Stance, target creature gains indestructible until end of turn. Destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater. Artifacts. I gave us an Orsov Signet, a Command Sphere. Soul Ring's not in here because it's over $1. So, couldn't quite fit it in. Honored Heirloom, add 1 mana of any color, and then you tap 2 and tap it, exile target card from a graveyard. We have Ceremonial Knife. The equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has whenever it deals combat damage, create a blood token. Not to a player, but combat damage in general. Wedding Invitation, when it enters, draw a card, sacrifice it. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. If it's a vampire, it also gains lifelink. We have Sanguine Statuette. When it enters, create a blood token. Whenever you sacrifice a blood token, you may have Sanguine Statuette become a 3/3 vampire artifact creature with haste until end of turn. We have Blood Mist. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gains double strike. Etchings of the Chosen. It enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures of the chosen type get +1/+1, and you can sack a creature of the chosen type to have target creature you control gains indestructible. We have Gift of Fangs. It's an aura. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 if it's vampire. Otherwise, it gets -2/-2. So it can be removal or a buff. Intangible Virtue gives our tokens +1/+1 and vigilance. We have March of the Canonized, which is X in double white. When it enters, you create X white vampire creature tokens with lifelink. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if your devotion to white and black is 7 or greater, create a 4/3 white and black vampire demon creature token. And then you have Radiant Destiny, which is Ascend. So if you have 10 or more permanents, you get the City's Blessing in it for the rest of the game. As it enters, choose a creature type. Creatures of the chosen type get +1/+1. As long as you have the City's Blessing, they also have Vigilance. So kind of like Intangible Virtue, but for everything. Vampiric Rites, you can pay 2, sack a creature, gain 1 life. And then we have 20 swamps, since the majority of our cards are swamps. Are black. We have 11 plains and 10 mountains. We have no non-basics in here. Like I said, I cannot fit anything else in here to keep this under $60. So let me know how I did in the comments down below. As always, I'm Weston with the Hidden Gibbon. If you want to see your commander made into a deck tech, just drop it in the comments. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. I can't wait to shovel out from this blizzard that we got after we got 60-degree weather in Iowa. You gotta love spring in Iowa, friends. Have a good one. What's up?